You watched Beethoven when you were 8, maybe 9, and something in your brain just locked in. Big goofy dog, knocks stuff over, saves the kids, everyone laughs. That image, the lovable, bumbling giant, it's been rattling around in your head for 20 years. And it's wrong, like almost entirely wrong. The real St. Bernard, not goofy, not bumbling, not the slapstick teddy bear the movies made them out to be. They're working dogs, bred for the Swiss Alps, bred to haul through deep snow, find people buried under avalanches, and drag them back to safety. That's the actual job description. Search and rescue in conditions that would kill most humans. And somewhere between that and the Hollywood version, we just decided they were couch dogs, big, cuddly idiots who knock over the Christmas tree. I think that disconnect is where most of the problems start. People bring home a St. Bernard puppy, which, by the way, is already the size of a normal adult dog at like 4 months, and they're expecting Beethoven. What they get is a 160-pound animal with a stubborn streak, a work drive it can't use, and zero interest in performing tricks for your TikTok. And the breeders don't help. They lean into the gentle giant thing because it sells puppies, which, fine, they are gentle, mostly, but gentle and easy are not the same word, not even close. A 160-pound dog that's gentle but bored is still a 160-pound dog that just ate your drywall. "8 to 10 years. That's what you'll read online. And honestly, that's generous. The real number, the one breeders kind of mumble past, is closer to 7 or 8. Some don't make it to 6. Let that land for a second. You bring this dog home as a puppy. You fall in love with it, because you will. They're incredibly easy to love. And by year 5, you're already in the window where things start going sideways. Heart problems, joint problems, cancer, bloat, which can kill them in hours if you don't catch it. And the size is the engine behind all of it. Giant breeds just don't last. Their hearts work harder, their joints carry more weight than they were ever really designed for. Their bones grow so fast as puppies that the growth itself causes problems. Like the skeleton is literally outrunning the body's ability to build it properly. I used to think lifespan was just one of those trade-offs you accept. Big dog, shorter life, that's the deal. But the more I read about what actually happens to these dogs in their last couple years, the less okay I am with framing it that way. We're not talking about a dog that slows down gracefully. We're talking about a dog that can't stand up, can't walk without pain, can't get into the car anymore at 6. That's not a trade-off. That's a design flaw we keep breeding into them because we like the way they look. Okay, I know this sounds like a minor thing compared to the health stuff. It's not. Trust me, it's not. St. Bernard's drool. You've heard that. You think you understand what that means. You don't. Nobody does, until they're living in it. We're talking ropes. Thick, heavy, elastic ropes of saliva that hang from their jowls, and then, with one head shake, hit the ceiling, the wall, your face, your coffee, your laptop. I'm not exaggerating. There are St. Bernard owners who've had to replace drywall. And it's not occasional. It's not like they drool when they eat and then stop. It's constant. It ramps up around food, sure, around water, when they're excited, when they're hot, when they're just existing, basically. You will carry a towel everywhere. You'll call it a drool rag, and you won't even think that's weird anymore because your brain has fully adapted to a life where wiping slobber off your forearm is just a thing you do now. Your furniture? Done. Your car? Forget about it. Guests coming over? You're gonna warn them, and some of them won't come back. I think people hear they drool a lot and picture like a little bit of wetness on the chin. No. Picture a dog that just drank a gallon of water
and then sneezed. Now picture that happening 4 or 5 times a day, every day, for 7 years. Some owners say you get used to it, and maybe you do, but your couch doesn't. These dogs were bred to haul through snowdrifts at 8,000 feet, like actual alpine rescue work, trudging through waist-deep powder and sub-zero temps, pulling people out of avalanches. That's what their bodies are built for. Cold, thin air, constant movement over rough terrain. And now we've got them in Phoenix, in apartments, in suburbs with no shade and a backyard the size of a parking spot. I'm not saying you need to live on a mountain. But you gotta understand what you're working with here. A St. Bernard's got this dense double coat that was designed, literally engineered by centuries of breeding to insulate against brutal cold, which means in anything above like 75 degrees, they're miserable. They overheat fast, way faster than most people expect. We're talking panting on the kitchen floor after a 10-minute walk fast. And it's not just the heat thing. These are big, heavy dogs, 140, 160 pounds sometimes, that were meant to cover ground, miles of it, daily. They need space in a way that, like, a lab needs space, sure, but a St. Bernard needs space. Room to move without knocking over your entire life. You put one in a 2-bedroom apartment and crank the AC to 68 and think you've solved it? You haven't. You've got a deeply uncomfortable animal slowly going stir-crazy in a space that makes no sense for its body. The breed didn't change. We just changed where we put it, and that's kind of on us. A friend of mine, a friend of a friend, whatever, got a St. Bernard puppy 2 years ago. Gorgeous dog. Paid like $1,900 from a breeder. Thought that was the expensive part. The first year's vet bills came in north of $4,000, and nothing went wrong. That was just routine stuff. Vaccines, checkups, spay surgery on a dog that weighs more than most adult humans. Anesthesia alone costs more when your dog's 130 pounds. They literally dose by weight, so you're paying for a lot of drugs. Then there's the joints. Hip dysplasia is practically a given with this breed. Not like a maybe if you're unlucky thing, more like a when not if situation. Elbow dysplasia too, and the x-rays to diagnose it, the consults, the supplements, the eventual surgery if it gets bad enough. You're looking at $3,000 to $7,000 per joint. And this is all before anything weird happens, before they eat something off the counter, before they tear a cruciate ligament doing basically nothing because giant breeds blow out knees just existing. Pet insurance helps, kinda. The premiums for a St. Bernard are brutal compared to, say, a beagle. You're paying $60, $80, sometimes over $100 a month, depending on the plan. And most policies don't cover the stuff that's already considered breed typical, which is a lot of stuff. Nobody tells you this at the breeder. They show you the puppy, and your brain just shuts off. This is the one that genuinely scares me. Not in a wow, that's concerning way, in a your dog can be dead in under an hour way. Gastric dilation volvulus, GDV. Most people just call it bloat, which honestly undersells it by a mile, because bloat sounds like your dog ate too much and needs to lie down. What actually happens is the stomach fills with gas, then rotates, flips on itself, and cuts off blood flow in both directions. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Tissue starts dying. The heart goes next. And it hits fast, like you were at the grocery store fast. Dog was fine when you left, and by the time you're back, it's pacing, drooling, trying to vomit, and nothing's coming up. That right there, the unproductive retching, that's the red flag. You see that, you've got maybe 30, 40 minutes to get to an emergency vet, or the dog's done. St. Bernards are one of the highest risk breeds for this. Deep chest, large body, it's basically the architecture Bloat loves. And there's no surefire way to prevent it. You can do the gastropexy. That's where they surgically tack the stomach to the abdominal wall so it can't twist. And a lot of St. Bernard owners do it preventatively during the spay or neuter. But even that's not a guarantee. It reduces the risk of the torsion part, not the bloat itself. The survival rate, even with emergency surgery, somewhere around 70 to 80%, which sounds okay until you realize that means 1 in 4 or 5 dogs don't make it off the table. That's not a complication, that's a time bomb. You know how some dogs drool a little after they drink water? Yeah, that's not what this is. St. Bernards produce drool like it's a bodily function they're proud of. Long, ropey strings of it, hanging from their jowls, swinging when they turn their head, landing on your pants, your couch, your ceiling. I don't know how it gets on the ceiling, but people report this. And it's not occasional, it's constant. Every time they eat, every time they drink, every time they get excited, every time they watch you eat, every time they exist near food or the memory of food, you will find dried slobber on surfaces you didn't know your dog could reach. Walls, cabinets, the back of your TV. Someone once described it as living inside a sneeze. And honestly, yeah. The thing people don't think about is what this actually means for your daily life. You're wiping down walls. You're carrying a rag in your pocket, not as a joke, as a survival tool. Guests come over and you watch their face when a St. Bernard shakes its head and redistributes about a quarter cup of drool across the room in a single motion. It's impressive in a horrifying way. Some owners try to manage it with slobber bibs. That's a real product. Bibs for a dog that weighs more than most adults. And here's the part nobody warns you about. You stop noticing. You just acclimate. You find a dried streak on your shirt at work and you don't even flinch. That's the slobber life. It changes you. Giant breed puppies grow at a rate that their own skeleton can barely keep up with. A St. Bernard puppy can put on 5-6 pounds a week during peak growth. Their bones are lengthening, their joints are forming, and the whole structural system is under load before it's anywhere close to done developing. Hip dysplasia hits this breed hard. Somewhere around 60% of St. Bernards show some degree of it. 60%. That's not a risk factor. That's a coin flip you're losing. And it's not just hips, elbows too. Osteochondritis dissecans, which is basically cartilage in the joint dying and flaking off, shows up in young dogs that are still technically puppies. The kicker is that even if you do everything right, proper nutrition, controlled exercise, a reputable breeder who screens for it, you can still end up with a dog that's limping at 2 years old because the genetics are that stacked. You're not preventing joint failure in this breed. You're trying to delay it. And the cost of managing it? Surgery for hip dysplasia runs $4,000 to $7,000 per hip. Elbow surgeries in the same ballpark. Long-term joint supplements, pain management, physical therapy, maybe a ramp so your dog can get into the car without jumping, it adds up fast. We're talking thousands a year, potentially, just to keep a young dog comfortable. I think a lot of people see the puppy and think about the next few months, but with St. Bernards, you kind of have to think about orthopedic bills before you think about a name. A 140-pound dog that needs to be touching you at all times. That's what you're signing up for. St. Bernards were bred to find people, lost travelers in the Alps, buried under snow. And that search and rescue wiring didn't just disappear.
It turned inward. They found you. Now they're not letting go. And I don't mean they follow you around the house. I mean they lean on you, full body weight. You're sitting on the couch, and suddenly one side of your body is pinned under what is essentially a fur-covered refrigerator that loves you. You shift, they shift. You stand up, they stand up. You go to the bathroom, they're outside the door making sounds like you abandoned them in a snowstorm. The separation anxiety piece is where it gets serious, though. A lot of St. Bernards genuinely cannot handle being alone. We're talking destructive behavior, chewed door frames, scratched up floors, neighbors calling about the howling. And this isn't a small dog knocking over a trash can. This is a dog that can put its head through drywall if it panics hard enough. Some owners work around it. Doggy daycare, a second dog for company, working from home. But that's restructuring your life around a dog's emotional needs, and not everybody can do that, or wants to. I think people hear gentle giant and picture this calm, independent, dignified animal. And sure, they're gentle, but independent? Not even close. They're basically a toddler the size of a linebacker who thinks you might vanish forever every time you grab your car keys. A St. Bernard puppy gains about 3 pounds a week. 3 pounds a week! And they don't know they're big. That's the problem. They think they're the same size as the beagle next door, and they move like it. So you've got this 40-pound, 4-month-old wrecking ball launching itself off the couch, body slamming the coffee table, knocking your kid over just by turning around too fast. And people laugh it off. Oh, clumsy puppy phase, so cute. Sure, it's cute when it's a golden retriever bumping into a door. It's a different thing when a St. Bernard puppy takes out a floor lamp and then steps on your foot with what already feels like a cinder block. The chewing the chewing is something else. Regular puppy chewing is annoying. St. Bernard puppy chewing is structural damage. They don't nibble on your shoe. They eat the baseboard. They pull trim off the wall. I've read about people coming home to find entire couch cushions just gone. Not torn up, gone. And this phase doesn't end at 6 months like it does with smaller breeds. You're looking at 18 months, maybe 2 years, of a dog that's constantly getting bigger and hasn't figured out where its body ends. The adolescent phase is the one nobody warns you about. They're too big to pick up, too strong to physically stop, and too young to listen to a single word you say. Most people budget for a puppy. They don't budget for replacing drywall. Somewhere around 7 or 8 months, you're gonna have a moment. You'll be walking your St. Bernard, or trying to, and they'll see a squirrel, or another dog, or literally nothing at all, and they'll lunge. And you'll realize, oh, I can't hold this dog. That's a weird moment, because up until then, you had the illusion of control. Leash in hand, dog by your side, everything's fine. But a 100-pound dog that decides it wants to go somewhere, you're not stopping that. You're just along for the ride. And they're not even done growing. Full-grown males can hit 180 pounds. Some push past that. And unlike, say, a Great Dane, which is tall but kind of lean, a St. Bernard is dense, low center of gravity, built like a small truck. When they pull, it's not a jerk on your arm. It's physics. You either brace or you go down. This is where a lot of owners quietly start skipping walks. Not because they're lazy, because it's genuinely intimidating. An untrained St. Bernard on a leash is a liability. They drag you into traffic, they bowl over other dogs, they yank elderly people off their feet. It's not aggression, it's just mass. And the training window, it's small. You've got maybe the first year to teach loose leash walking before the strength gap becomes permanent. After that, you're not training the dog, you're negotiating with it.
Every single walk becomes a conversation about who's actually in charge, and honestly, it's usually not you. The average lifespan of a St. Bernard is 8 to 10 years. That's the number people quote. But here's what they don't tell you. A lot of them don't make it to 8. Osteosarcoma, bone cancer. It hits giant breeds harder than almost anyone else, and St. Bernards are right at the top of the list. Some estimates put the cancer rate in the breed at close to 60% when you factor in all types: osteo, lymphoma, hemangiosarcoma. 60%. That's not a risk factor. That's a coin flip with bad odds. And osteosarcoma is particularly awful because of how it shows up. Your dog starts limping, maybe favoring one leg. You think it's a sprain, maybe arthritis. They're a big dog. Big dogs get joint issues. You take them to the vet expecting an X-ray and some anti-inflammatories. And then you get the call. Treatment options exist, but they're brutal and they're expensive. Amputation plus chemo can buy you maybe 4 to 6 more months on average. For a dog that size, on 3 legs, those months aren't always good ones. A lot of owners end up in this impossible position where the kindest option is the one that feels the cruelest. And it's not like you can screen for it and dodge it. There's no genetic test that tells you your puppy's safe. You do everything right. Good breeder, health-tested parents, proper nutrition, and you can still lose your dog at 6. That's the part that wrecks people. You know going in that the clock is short. You just don't expect it to be that short. A St. Bernard in July is basically a ticking clock. And I don't mean that dramatically. I mean their body is physically not built for heat at all. They've got this dense double coat that was designed for alpine winters, for trudging through snowdrifts at 8,000 feet. You drop that same dog into a backyard in Texas in August, you're playing a dangerous game. Heat stroke can hit a St. Bernard faster than most people realize. We're talking 15-20 minutes of hard play in direct sun. That's it. And the scary part is a lot of owners don't catch it early enough because the early signs just look like a tired dog, panting harder than usual, slowing down, lying on the concrete. You think, oh, he's just worn out. No, he might be cooking from the inside. Their size is the problem. Big dogs generate more internal heat and they're worse at dumping it. It's basically thermodynamics. More mass, less surface area relative to weight, slower cooling. And the coat traps everything, even shaved, which, by the way, you shouldn't do. That causes a whole other set of problems. Even shaved, they're still a 200-pound animal trying to regulate temperature through panting alone. So what does summer actually look like with a St. Bernard? Early morning walks, like 6 a.m. early. Air conditioning that runs all day. Kiddie pools in the yard, and not as a cute Instagram thing, as a genuine medical precaution. Frozen treats, cooling mats, constant water. It's a whole operation every single year, May through September. I want you to think about the biggest dog you've ever seen shed. Golden Retriever, maybe? Husky. Now multiply that by, 3, 4. That's a St. Bernard in blowout season. And blowout season happens twice a year, but honestly, the regular shedding between blowouts is already absurd. We're talking tumbleweeds of fur drifting across your kitchen floor, clumps on the couch, hair baked into your car seats, stuck to your work clothes, in your coffee. I'm not even joking. People report finding dog hair in sealed containers. It gets everywhere in ways that defy physics. And here's the thing nobody warns you about. Brushing doesn't fix it. It helps, it reduces it. But you're brushing a dog the size of a small couch with a coat that's 2 layers deep. And even if you're brushing 3-4 times a week,
you're still gonna find hair on every surface you own. A good de-shedding session with a proper undercoat rake can pull out, God, it's like a whole second dog's worth of fur, every time. Robot vacuums become a daily necessity, not a luxury. Some people run them twice a day. You'll go through lint rollers like other people go through paper towels. Dark clothing basically stops being an option, or you just accept looking like you lost a fight with a sheep. And if you've got allergies, even mild ones, a St. Bernard in the house is gonna test that in ways you did not plan for. It's relentless, 12 months a year relentless. A 40-pound dog eats about 2 cups of kibble a day. A St. Bernard eats 6 to 10, sometimes more, depending on the dog, the food, the activity level. That math gets ugly fast. We're talking, and these are conservative numbers, somewhere around $150 to $250 a month just on kibble. Good kibble, not even the fancy stuff, just decent large breed food that isn't mostly filler. You go premium, raw diet, you're looking at $300, $400 easy per month for one dog. And it's not just the food itself. Giant breeds need joint support supplements, basically from puppyhood. Glucosamine, fish oil, sometimes prescription stuff as they age. That's another $30-$40 a month on the low end. Treats add up faster than you'd think when your dog's idea of a small treat is something the size of your fist. Then there's the bowls, elevated feeders, because eating off the ground at that size puts pressure on their joints and increases bloat risk. The food storage. You're buying 30, 40-pound bags and you need somewhere to keep them. The slow feeders, because St. Bernards can inhale food, and bloat is a genuine life-threatening emergency with this breed. I think a lot of people budget for a dog and then get a St. Bernard and realize this isn't a dog budget. This is a second grocery bill. You're essentially feeding another adult human, except this one also needs specialty supplements and eats the same meal twice a day, every day, for 8 to 10 years. You want to take a vacation with your St. Bernard? Good luck. Most airlines won't let them in cargo anymore. Too many incidents with brachycephalic and giant breeds overheating in holds. And they're obviously not fitting under the seat in front of you. So you're driving everywhere for the life of the dog. Hotels? Maybe a third of pet-friendly hotels have weight limits. 75 pounds is the common cutoff. Your St. Bernard blew past that at like 8 months old. So now you're filtering every hotel, every Airbnb, every rental cabin through this one question: will they even let us in the door? And half the time the listing says pets welcome, and then buried in the fine print it says under 50 pounds. Cool. But forget travel. Let's talk about where you actually live. Most apartments have breed restrictions or weight caps. A 170-pound dog is not making it past the landlord's screening. Even if there's no official policy, the landlord sees St. Bernard on the application, and suddenly the unit's no longer available. Funny how that works. And renters, this is the one nobody warns you about. Homeowners insurance sometimes covers you. Renters insurance? Way more likely to have breed exclusions or size limits baked in. So even if the landlord says yes, your insurance might say no. Or they say yes, but jack the premium up so high you're basically paying rent for the dog too. You don't just need a house for this breed. You kinda need to own one. So here's something that catches people off guard. You go out, you buy the dog, you bring it home, everything's great, and then your homeowner's insurance sends you a letter. Or worse, they just quietly don't renew your policy. St. Bernards land on a surprising number of restricted breed lists. Not every insurer, but enough. State Farm's usually fine, but companies like Allstate, Farmers, a bunch of regional carriers, They've got internal lists, and giant breeds with any bite history in the actuarial data tend to end up on them. The logic isn't even about aggression, really. It's about damage. A Chihuahua bites someone, it's a Band-Aid. A 160-pound dog bites someone, even once, even gently, that's a lawsuit. That's reconstructive surgery. That's a 6-figure claim. And insurers don't care about your dog's personality. They care about statistical risk pools. Your sweet, lazy, drooling couch potato gets lumped in with every liability claim ever filed against the breed. That's just how it works. The real problem is nobody tells you this up front. Breeders don't mention it. Rescue organizations sometimes do, but not always. You find out when you're already emotionally and financially committed, and then you're scrambling, calling around to different insurers, comparing quotes that are 2 or 3 times what you expected, maybe even having to switch providers entirely. Some states have laws against breed-specific insurance discrimination. Most don't. So depending on where you live, you might just be stuck paying the giant breed tax forever. The monks at the Great St. Bernard Hospice didn't breed these dogs to be pets. They bred them to find people buried in snow. Alpine rescue, that was the gig. For like 300 years, these dogs worked mountain passes in the Swiss Alps, hauling through snowdrifts, locating stranded travelers by scent, sometimes lying on top of them for warmth until help arrived. That's a real job, a physically brutal, life-or-death job, and the dogs were built for it. The size, the coat, the bone structure, the ridiculous stamina in cold conditions, the independent decision-making, all of it was functional. Every trait had a purpose. And now, none of it does. The rescue work is done by helicopters and thermal imaging. The passes have roads. The hospice still keeps a few St. Bernards for tradition, but they're basically mascots at this point. So you've got this dog that was engineered over centuries for a task that no longer exists, and all the traits that made it perfect for that task are still there. The massive frame that could push through chest-deep snow, now it's wrecking your hardwood floors and costing you $4,000 a year in food and vet bills. The independent thinking that let it make life or death decisions without a handler, now it's ignoring your recall command at the park because it decided on its own that it doesn't need to come back yet. That's the tension with this breed. Everything that made them incredible working dogs makes them kind of a nightmare as pets. I mean, not a nightmare, but a project. A big, expensive, stubborn, drooly project. You know how people talk about big dogs like it's just more dog? Same dog, bigger package? Yeah, no. A St. Bernard doesn't scale linearly. It scales exponentially. And the thing nobody tells you, the thing that should be on a warning label, is that the mess scales the same way. Start with Drool. Not like, oh cute, a little slobber. I'm talking ropes. Thick, ropey strands of drool that fling across your kitchen when they shake their head.
It gets on the ceiling. The ceiling. You'll find it on walls, on your jeans, inside your shoes somehow. People who own St. Bernards keep towels in every room. That's not a joke. That's a logistics decision. Then there's the fur. They blow their coat twice a year, and when I say blow, I mean it looks like a pillow exploded. Every day, for weeks. You will vacuum and then turn around and it looks like you didn't vacuum. You'll lint roll your shirt, walk past the dog, and you're done. Covered again. It's honestly a little demoralizing. And I gotta say it, the sheer volume of waste. A 180-pound dog eats a lot. What goes in comes out. You're not picking up little bags on walks. You're basically running a small sanitation operation in your backyard every single day. The mud. God, the mud. They track it everywhere. Their paws are the size of saucers. One trip outside after rain and your floors look like a construction site. Nobody warns you about any of this. They show you the cute puppy photos and leave out the part where you're mopping 3 times a day.
Eight to 10 years. That's the standard number you'll see everywhere. And honestly, that's generous. A lot of St. Bernards don't make it to 8. Some barely hit 6 or 7. And that's the part of owning one that really guts you if you think about it too long. It's a giant breed thing. The bigger the dog, the shorter the clock. Nobody fully understands why. There are theories about accelerated growth, cellular aging, the heart working harder to move all that mass. But the correlation is brutal and consistent. Great Danes, Irish Wolfhounds, Bernese Mountain Dogs, St. Bernards. They're all in that same rough window. You're getting maybe half the time you'd get with a smaller dog, maybe less. And it's not just that they die younger, it's how the decline looks. A 7-year-old lab is still catching frisbees. A 7-year-old St. Bernard is often struggling to get up off the floor. The joints go, the hips go, sometimes the heart gives out without much warning at all.
You watch this enormous, gentle animal slow down way before it should, and there's not a ton you can do about it. I think that's the thing people underestimate most. You fall in love with this giant, sweet, ridiculous creature, and then the math just doesn't work in your favor. You knew going in, everybody knows, but knowing and actually living through it are different things entirely. That's the real cost of a St. Bernard. Not the food bill, not the vet visits. The goodbye comes too soon, every single time.
So, yeah, that's a lot. And look, I know how this sounds. 20 sections of this breed will ruin your life. I get it, but that's not what this is.
This is the stuff nobody tells you before you bring home a 180-pound animal that's going to reshape every single corner of your daily existence. Your schedule, your finances, your furniture, your car, your lease, your insurance, the amount of towels you own, which, by the way, will triple. I'm not saying don't get a St. Bernard. I'm saying go in with your eyes open. Because the people who surrender these dogs, most of them aren't bad people. They're just blindsided. They saw the movie, they saw the puppy. They didn't see the orthopedic surgeon bill at 18 months, or the drool streaks on the ceiling. Yeah, the ceiling. Or the reality that this dog might not make it to 7. And that's the part that actually gets me. You do all of it. You deal with the shedding and the bloat scares and the grocery bill that looks like you're feeding a small crew. You rearrange your life around this giant, needy, beautiful, ridiculous animal, and then they're gone, way too soon, every single time. If you can sit with all of that, genuinely sit with it, not just skim it and go, yeah, I'll figure it out, then maybe you're the right person for this breed. But you gotta be honest with yourself. Not aspirational, honest. Because the St. Bernard doesn't care about your Pinterest board. It cares about whether you're actually ready for what it needs, every day, for however many years you get. Which, if you've been paying attention, won't be enough. They never are.